Hi, everyone. I know Netty has introduced me already. Good to see some familiar faces. Hi, Sandra. So I am Alina Peter, and yes, I'm the founder of ConTech. It's a conservation technology service company, a consultancy, and that is focusing on capability development. So this is not just developing the technical skills for the people on the ground, but also to use appropriate technology to address different conservation challenges. Thank you so much for taking the time to join this tutorial. And I should just say it outright. What I have, I've self-taught myself GIS, so please be very kind and gentle with me with your questions, but I will do my best to answer most of them. But I'm also willing, I'm so curious to learn from you as much as I hope you'll learn from me. So I want to assume that you are all familiar with EarthRanger. If not, maybe I could just take like 3 minutes to go through for those who aren't. So I'm just gonna share my screen now, and we're gonna do. Can you please tell me if you can see my screen? Can?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is okay. Okay, good. So this is basically, so this is the island. This is almost the play site where you would like to familiarize yourself with different things, but generally ER is a spatial platform. So, and it also gives you, depending on what you have integrated, it gives you the ability to track your assets in almost real time. So you could see there are different things. They are trackable assets, like that is a helicopter. You could see tagged rhinos, tagged elephants there, and reports that are coming in. And of course, these reports will have a location, a GPS location, and that's how they are spatially distributed onto the map. So there are different sorts of data sources that are fed into ER, and there are particular formats that you can export these data sources. And I think that's where I would like to start my discussion from. So, of course, there's data input and all this for that, but once, let's say now you want to extract certain data to export it and then plot it on QGIS or ArcGIS. I use QGIS because I don't have a licensed ArcGIS. So I believe that the functionalities are a bit limited in QGIS as opposed to Arc. So back to the sort of data formats that you can export off ER. There's a CSV file, which is an Excel, and also a KML. And a KML is a network link, and I'll touch on that a bit later. So essentially, there are several filters that you use to export. So there's a filter for reports, and you select what sorts of reports you want to export, and then what is the timeline. Okay, so I have already done this, so I'm not going to do it here, but essentially once you select the sort of reports that you want, let's say you want to do snares, so you could just select, I want all the snare reports, and then select a timeline. So this is just today, and there are 2 snare reports. And once that is done, you come to the hamburger menu, and then you say, you select field reports, and then you say export, and then that would be, of course, and that would be downloaded as a CSV. Now, I'm just gonna switch screens here and go to Q. So let's say now I've got my snare reports that I've got my location details and all the rest of that, and I just want to see the distribution of snares in the area. So I'm going to first, just bear with me here. Netty, can you confirm that you can still see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yep.
We can see your screen.
Okay. Okay, good. Now, so what I'm doing now, I'm just opening the boundaries of the of a protected area. So that's okay. And they are, so here it is. So I've just opened the boundaries. I've not plotted any of the snare distribution data that I've just exported of ER. So this is the boundary of where the data comes from, let's say, and this is like site specific. So it downloads as a CSV. So what happens is you download, and then it will of course go into your download folder. But for me, because I had already done this, so that's a CSV file there. So what I do is you just come to Q and you come to Q and you add a layer. You add a layer and you add a delimited text layer because that's a CSV. And then please tell me if you can't see, because I know the screen will be moving too much. And then I'm going to, under file name, I'm going to select where that CSV file is. So that's under my reports, that's this there one. I'm going to open. Sorry, let me do that. There we go. So there we go, and it's already set. So it's coordinates, and it is X field is the longitude and Y field is the latitude, and I'm just gonna say add. So you don't have to like change anything. You just under file name, you select where the file is located. Point coordinates, you specify what are your X, what are your Ys. This is like the down here is like the preview of the report, and then you say add. And once you say add, the distribution is there, and you can see here under layers on the right, on your left side, you can see the snares, and the dots are what represents the snare distribution, and this is based on, of course, the date range that you have exported the data. And I hope I've not left anyone behind, but this is basically like how I will do a distribution for like snares, and you can overlay several things. Let's say you want to do snares and arrests, so you would still do the same, go to ER, export it as a CSV, come in here, and then import it on Q, and then it will show the distribution, and then you'll be able to overlay different details. Now, Q used to come under QGIS tiles. It used to come with all these, but at the moment, I don't think they do that anymore. So I will share a link to how you could actually add the tiles. But if you don't want the blank background, you could easily. So I've already added these. I'll share the link to where you could find you could add these ones onto your GIS software, and you just select whatever tile you want to use that would be the background layer, and I'll just move it to the bottom so that you could see the map on a more on a Google Satellite background. I'm not sure if I've lost anyone or if that is okay so far. I hope I wasn't talking to myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay. If you have any questions, you can just drop them in the chat, and then I'll keep track, and then Alina will answer.
Okay.
You can proceed,
Good.
Alina. Yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
good. Okay, so this is basically how I will do the distribution. So any data with geolocation, I will just do a distribution like this. And so this is snares, arrests, and so on and so forth. But now when it comes to trackable assets, I'm going to move back to ER, and I'm just going to reset everything. So trackable assets are all these, you see the colored elephants, your radios, your vehicles and orders. So that, and the only way at the moment to export tracks is, again, if you want like a specific timeline, you would just filter based on the date ranges here. And then you come to the hamburger menu, you see here master KML, you select that, you still be able to do the date range here if you haven't done it before, like from the previous step. So you select whatever it is, whatever date range you want, if you want to include inactive subjects, and then you export. Now, this KML file, it will be exported as, of course, it will be in your download, but this is how it would look like. So it will be like -KML underscore whatever the user, the ER user is, that will be your name, and it's a KMZ. You will be able to open this on Google Earth. So once you open it on Google Earth, which I have already done, so I'm just going to move to a different screen now. So what I was saying is, once you open your KML, downloaded KML file, you open it on Google Earth, and this is essentially the file, this here, EarthRanger KML service. And this will contain a list of everything that's tracked. So whatever you have with that is trackable, there will be a list there. And now, depending on what you want, then you will go under that particular folder, and then you will select what subject track you want. Now I'm saying, for instance, I just want this one here. So I will, of course, go inside the folder of the subject that I'm looking for, select the KML, and then I'll right click, and then I'll say save place as. And once you do that, just make sure you save it as KML. Okay, so you save it as KML. Now, I mentioned earlier that KML exports are network links, because what that means is that this is a live download. So if you want, like, there is no way to download data data from multiple subjects at once. So that ability is not there because this is a network link. And that's why you see, whenever I select a subject, you will see that green dot moving, because that is downloading that particular data. Once it's done, then you will be able to export the data and save it as KML. I hope we are on the same page here. So of course, then you will just save that data as save place as KML, and then you will go back to Q. Can you see? Okay, I'm just going to resume share. Can you see my QGIS screen?
No, not yet.
No? Okay, that's fine.
Not yet.
Now?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Now I'm back to my Q. Now remember, I've already saved my subject tracks as KML. Now there are several plugins on Q. So this is like you export KML, KMZ, and all this of that. So you might need to actually install the plugin, which you just you might need to sometimes that, well, I mean, for me, I had to install the KML plugin here. So there is plugin somewhere here. Sorry, this buys there. You can see plugin, you manage, and then you could select what you want to there, and then you can see, come to all, and then you can search, and then you can install, upgrade, and all this of that. So but I already have a KML plugin. So since my file is a KML, so I just go here, I say it's KML, and I'm going to import my saved KML file, which is, so I'd already done it. So it's here. So let's say it's WILDLABS.1. I'm gonna open it, and yeah, you could create you could save it. So you get two options: a point layer, you get line layer, and a polygon layer. So I just want a point, and because that's a track, so it's literally points and line. You could create a temporary layer, or you could just save it somewhere else for you to go back to. So I'm not gonna save it anywhere, but if you want to like show this to somebody or like share it with somebody else, you just save it to a file, and then make sure you, wherever you save your point layer, it's the same place that you save your line layer. And then I'm gonna say run, and that's completed. You can see here down on the left, there is a point layer and a line layer, and then I'm gonna close. And I know it's not very visible, but you could see the, let me just remove this one. But you could see the track of the wildebeests with points that I have just exported from ER. Then again, you can save this and then share it with, you know, whoever wants to access this data. And this is, so this is how you could export trackable assets. The only downside is that you cannot do this at once for multiple subjects, because what you're getting from EarthRanger, they are network links. I'm not sure if I have left anyone behind, or we are still on the same page. I mean, if I'm going too fast or too slow, don't make sense, just tell me, that will I will repeat.
Everyone okay? I guess everyone is okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I mean, that's for the, and so what I've covered here is basically the distribution and the trackable assets. Now, when it comes to patrol, that's a little bit different, because the patrol data, unless you know the timeline, then you'll be able to put the exact date ranges when you're exporting on Google Earth. On Google Earth, then you'll be able to do that. But that patrol data, if you don't want to go through the whole process, you could get it from Tableau. And then I think the last thing from from EarthRanger, let me just share this one, is polygons. Now this I'm highlighting, just like there is, instead of points, there is a polygon feature mainly that's being trialed. Let me find where it could be. It's mainly on alien plants. Okay, so well, the playground does not have that. They've not enabled the feature, but there
Hello,
is
Alina.
polygon. Yes.
It's in the crop damage report.
Is it crop damage? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you. Is that Tobago?
Yes.
Ah, thank you. There. So there is this. Yeah. So that enables you to draw or demarcate areas. So it's basically, I mean, it's a fairly manual process at the moment, because you have to manually do it. But at the moment, I have not been able to find a way to actually export the polygon information and plot it in Q. Tebogo, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct. That's a feature that's still in our pipeline.
Okay. Yeah, so of the, and I know there is so much that you can do with Q and Arc and all the rest of that, but at the moment, the spatial data that can be extracted from ER is for distribution and tracks. That's how you would export it. And once with the polygon feature now, I think then this would be a good addition if we'll be able to export the details of the polygon and plot it elsewhere, and then you could properly overlay and do whatever analysis that you're looking to do. So yeah, that's it. I don't know if there are any questions, if I have answered a couple questions that people might have.
Thank you so much, Alina, for the presentation. Drileo, did you want to ask your question? Okay, they were asking, can the EarthRanger system handle queries just like a smart conservation application?
Can you say that again?
Can the EarthRanger system handle queries just like smart conservation application?
What queries?
Drileo, do you want to jump in and ask? Okay, as we wait for Drileo, there was also a question on how do we get the EarthRanger page where we can get the data to export in, and do we have to request a demo on the EarthRanger website?
So I think, so I assume the person who's asking this does not have access to EarthRanger.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Thanks.
Okay, good. So it's good that Tebogo is here. Tebogo is actually EarthRanger, part of the EarthRanger support. You can email him and he will make a plan for you to get access to the demo, EarthRanger demo site if you don't have an EarthRanger site just yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So back to Gileo's question. So he is asking about patrol observation queries.
Okay. Is it possible for him to expound on that?
He currently doesn't have a mic, but the
Okay.
question, yes.
So, okay, so I'll just go to the EarthRanger site then. I'm just gonna share my screen again. I'll share screen. There we go. Okay, you can see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good. So there are, sorry, I'm gonna cancel that. Discard. Okay, good. So see here, there is a patrol feature and you could add, so let's say your team is on a routine patrol, you could, so you see here, tracked by, so all your trackable assets will be on this list here. You select whatever team that is going out, you select that and you get the start time, and then you will, the start location would actually be auto-harvested from the track device. But this, I think this depends on the sort of setup that you have. But where I've been working for the last 6 years, the location is normally, the start location is normally auto-harvested from the from a radio. But if that's not the case, you can just choose on map and then select where that team is or the trackable device is, and that you see that changes. and then they would go on patrol. If there's anything, you could add reports in there, and then you could set the end. So let's say they're finished the patrol, so you end the patrol, and then you could again come here, you set the end location, and you can choose it on map. Let's say they went, Ranger Maria started there and ended there, and then you can say save. Okay, there we go. So you could see that is a patrol. Now, if this was a real patrol, you could actually show your tracks. So where did the patrol start and where did it end? And you can see on the map, it demarcates with the pink. So that's like where it started. I think if you, sorry. There, so you could see that's where the patrol started, and that's where it ended. So if this was actually a radio that was moving, you could see a track connecting the pink dot here and there, and it will also give you the distance. So if you actually open a patrol, you see a distance is 0. Of course, this is a pretend, this is not a true thing, but it will give you the duration of the patrol that's based on when it started to when it ended, and also the distance, which is calculated between the start point and the end point. And then you could get this data through, you could actually access it through Tableau, the Tableau integration, where you would be able to filter down to the patrol team, and then you can get the route of that particular patrol that you're looking at. I hope that has answered your question. I don't really want to go into the Tableau aspect, but I hope that has answered your question, if you can confirm.
Yeah, maybe Alina, could you briefly just walk us through some of the third-party integrations with EarthRanger? So say Smart, Tableau, and how they're integrated. Just a brief summary of some of the third-party softwares that can be integrated with EarthRanger.
Okay, so actually you could, Tepogo, thank God for you for actually joining the call. But you could, on the EarthRanger website, there is a list of all the technologies that have been integrated already. So of course, Motorola radios, Smart, Esri is actually integrated, and I will share a small presentation with you just to show you how that is. You have collars, tags, like wildlife collars, tags, etc. So I cannot tell you all the list of things that have been integrated, but if you go onto the EarthRanger website under technology, you have a list of you'll see a list of every device that has been integrated onto EarthRanger already. And just while we're still talking about integration, I'm going to share something that I had here. So this one, and actually this is from Rewilding Europe, but there is an integration, ER and Esri, and as you can see that the reports, if you remember the first tutorial that I did about the distribution, you can see here. So here, events are reports. The reports translate into points in Esri, as you can see. And then the tracks are actually lines that that show as well, they're tracks. So they are line strings in Esri, but also again, these are other subject tracks that are in terms of points in Esri. And this, so for those, I think Tebo correct me, but this is for if you've got a licensed Esri account, you can again share it with EarthRanger support, and they will be able to enable this integration. But I also know that it syncs on once a day, so it syncs your EarthRanger data to Esri once a day. And last I checked, it is not very. I don't think it is. It can do so many data. Like if you've got a huge amount of data, like where I used to work at Netty, there's a lot of data. So we're not quite sure if the integration will be able to handle that amount of data. But if you have got a licensed Esri account, there is an integration that will keep your data up to date in Esri from ER.
Okay, thank you so much, Alina. So the next question will also be a general one. So, could you kindly highlight some of the challenges you've experienced in the integration of EarthRanger and QGIS, maybe a bit on data format or the size and accuracy?
No, so here's the thing. I think most of the integration is done by the support team, and that's the BOGO and the rest of the team. So as a user, you don't really have to. You don't really do any sort of integration. So that mainly falls, if you want an integration, that mainly falls onto the ER support. And because they use an API, there is really, I have not seen any, I've not seen any issues with that data accuracy or anything, because I think an API helps to maintain the integrity of the data data structure. So I've not seen any issues with inaccuracies in terms of data or any of that. No, I haven't.
Okay, and we also had a question during registration, and they were asking, is it possible to extract specific species data? So if you're working on a specific species, is it effective to just extract that particular one, or will you have to do all the species in the protected area?
No, it's possible. And I will go back to the Google Earth again. How do I do it? There, if you can see can you see my screen?
Yes.
Good. So as I mentioned earlier, once you download your KML, master KML from ER, this is the file that comes in. And that file contains all your trackable assets. And of course, you will have different, and I'm not sure, but I also think this depends on how you have set them in your ER site. But for Netty, everything is put in very particular subject group. So we've got our EC, we've got our rhino, we've got wildebeest, zebras. So depending on what species you want, what data of a species that you want, then you can do that. The only thing that I mentioned is that if you can see here, you can see the amount of wildebeest collars that we have. It is not possible to download multiple data at once because this is a live download. What you need to do is to download one at a time, which is not ideal. It is not ideal, but it is, doable. So yes, it is possible.
Okay, and just a follow-up on that. So when you're working on large amounts of spatial data, as you've mentioned, what are some of the tips to ensure that data is imported and processed correctly and accurately?
I think this starts from your EarthRanger site. Just make sure Let me see. Just gonna share the ER site. I think this starts from, if you can all see the EarthRanger site.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I think this all starts with what sort of data do you want to export, and then B, your date ranges. I mean, of course, there's a lot of work that should go into putting in the actual data. So it's not just a matter of having data in ER, but it's also making sure that there is integrity, like the data is correct and true. And then after that, you just need to make sure that your filters are right. So let's say if you want to see all your SNARE reports from 2020, get your filters right, okay? You see here under state there's active, resolved, and all. What you want to see is all the reports, because these states represent different things. So active are the ones that are not resolved. Resolved are the ones that are hidden, so that you cannot visualize them on the map. So everything that you can see now here on the map, these are all active reports. And everything that you can't see, those are resolved. So you want to see all your reports. Make sure you select the right type of reports that you want to export and get your date ranges correct. And I think that is the first thing that you need to get right. Actually, the second thing that you need to get right before plotting them, because the first is ensuring that your data is actually true. Because mind you, what you're doing here is just taking data from ER and plotting it in Q. So if your data was initially wrong to begin with, then you're still going to get a wrong output.
Okay. Thank you so much. And also, just to answer another question that came up, does EarthRanger's integration with QGIS require any additional software or plugins, or it's just the interaction between the two software?
So who's this? Is Tebogo still around? I think Tebogo can assist with answering that if you're still here. But essentially, there is the integration is not with QGIS. The integration is with a licensed ArcGIS. So if you've got a licensed ArcGIS, which means you've got access, you've got credentials, and that's what they will need from you. So you just share that with the support team, and then they enable that integration for your site.
Okay, thank you. And another question. So after you've exported your spatial data, can you customize the appearance of the map in QGIS, such as adding labels, legends, and scale bars? So if someone is probably working on storytelling.
That's an interesting question, because I'm also still learning how to do that. So I know you could add tiles. You could use, what is this? You could change the colors and stuff. You can add legends. You can, let me just see something here. Well, with Q, I think you can add legends, to be honest. I've not tried that, but one thing you can't add on Q is, so let's say that's a wildebeest truck. It's not, you can't really, to make it, nicer, you can't really add like a wildebeest icon there to show that this is a truck. I'm not sure that is possible with Q, but I'm sure with those that are configured with ArcGIS, and if you've got a licensed one, you have much more, you've got more functionalities in Arc. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you for that. And another question that came up during registration: what are some best practices for visualizing and analyzing EarthRanger data in QGIS?
I think I would go back to what I said earlier. your data source for QGIS or ARC is from ER. So what you need to get the data, your data input right. Make sure that your data is unquestionable and it is right. There is data integrity, because whatever you get into ER is exactly what you're gonna get out of it and into Q. So it starts from the the start point is getting your data input right and making sure that there is data integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And
that.
also, I think just to add, and this is like mainly for Q. Like I self-taught myself Q, because there was a need, and so I had to do it. But there are several resources online that you could learn all the tricks and all this. And I know like it has got much more capability than I have been able to share with you. But there's so much online resources that you could use to your advantage.
Yeah, we actually had a few people ask like, what are some of the resources they can access to be able to improve their skills? Because I guess there are so many people out there who are just starting off with EarthRanger. And maybe Tebogo, you can kindly share also the support team's contacts and how people can reach out in the chat. So to continue with the questions, there was also another question on what are some of the common errors or inaccuracies that affect the quality of analysis and mapping in QGIS?
So I would say, I think, again, your data is the key point here. If you get your points wrong, but the beauty of, I think I should start by saying the beauty of ER, if you've got your data wrong, you can already see it on ER. So if there's an off point, before you even go to Q, you can already see that there's something wrong with particular data. So while this is while we have covered mainly what is this, plotting your ER spatial data onto Q, again, I now keep repeating myself, the key is to just get the basics right. And again, the beauty is that if your data is not right, you can still see it on EarthRanger before even plotting it onto Q. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So for someone who's just starting off with EarthRanger, when you look at it broadly, how does having the integration between EarthRanger and being able to analyze your data on QGIS to export your data from EarthRanger to QGIS impact real-time monitoring and decision-making from a managerial perspective?
Yeah, so I think plotting your ER data on Q is mainly for reporting purposes, and like strategy and future planning and all this. So that the beauty of ER is the near real-time ability. And so you would still want to, like, one does not replace the other. Q is mainly for like you have done your quarterly analysis and you want to share it to management for them to know, plan, and etc. Whereas ER provides that real-time ability. You still need that if you for running an operation, you need that near real-time ability to know what is happening, where, and who's where.
Okay, thank you for that. And are there any limitations you've encountered with that? that people should be aware of?
Say again, sorry.
Are there any limitations that you've encountered that users should be aware of?
What sort of limitations? In terms of ER?
Yes.
I mean, what can I say? I think it comes down to what you are looking for in the system. I've used it for the last 6 years. And I can say for sure what it can do now, it can do much more now than it could do then. So depending on what you want, if you want that real-time ability, almost near real-time, if you want visualization, it is perfect. But then again, I think most of us have been, and this is something that I know it's actually an ongoing conversation, even in the EarthRanger cycles, is that data analysis. Now, it's one thing to have over visualizations and stuff, but then data analysis. How, if you want to share a quarterly or annually data to like show your distribution of snares or arrests, patrols, and orders, so that. And that is why now, like, there's an integration with Arc. There's a Tableau integration that can assist with that. But I think in terms of what somebody wants out of the system, I do not think it's going to be very off from what EarthRanger is already offering.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's a brand new functionality, which I will be curious to hear.
Mm-hmm. Actually, there's a question in the chat asking about what are some of the future improvements for ER?
So I think for now it is mainly being able to do data analysis easier. Tableau is still very cumbersome. It's not as easy. You need to have some sort of skill for Q to be able to do it on Q or ArcGIS. But I think they are working on enabling data analysis to be easy, because there are a lot of people who are collecting data on ER and they have to export that data and run analysis elsewhere. So that's, I think, one of the biggest areas that they are working on sorting out.
Thank
Tebogo,
you.
maybe if you can add, because you are the ER inner circle guy.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Alina. I think looking at the projection of where the development of the product is going, we are looking at, as Alina's already mentioned, the extraction and analysis of the data, getting insights from the data that is collected on EarthRanger, because as Alina's already mentioned, it's one thing to collect and have rich data on a database, but what can you do with that? So the team is focused on getting insights into the hands of EarthRanger users through Tableau and other third-party softwares that could afford them the opportunity to get those insights. And then we're also focused on our mobile application. So one way of getting data into EarthRanger instead of the web app, which is what you saw today, is through the mobile application, EarthRanger Mobile. So we are also working on developing that and getting it to a point where it's easier and much more streamlined to collect data in the field, offline even, for field teams. So you're not just limited to an ops room kind of situation, but you have the opportunity to collect and curate your data in the field, even in offline situations. So that's where the main focus is. And apart from that, obviously, the continuous improvement of the overall infrastructure of the EarthRanger product itself.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for the summary. So just a final question before we close. Zablon, do you want to jump in, or should I ask you a question? I'm not sure they're here, but they had a question about geofence analyzer, and does it support multi-line string only? and not multi-polygon.
I actually wanted to ask him to elaborate more on that, because is this in the ER setting up, like in the ER admin side of things, or which I assume it is? Zablon, I see your back. Do you want to expound a bit more on your question? Is this about on the ER admin side of things?
Zablon, can you hear us? I'm not sure they can hear us, but I think you can reach out to Alina or the ER support team, and they'll be able to answer your question. Thank you so much, Alina, for the presentation, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to have you. The recording for this session will be shared next week in our YouTube channel and on WILDLABS, so you can access that when it's up. Our next tutorial will be on the 20th of April, same time. And if you have a WILDLABS account, you'll be able to receive an email with all the details on our next session. Thank you once again, and have a lovely rest of your day and week.